So I want to get to part 4 because this is the most disturbing information that I found out from my cousin yesterday. So when we were chit-chatting, we spoke like said 25-30 minutes on the phone. We were just basically reminiscing each other. I asked her all about most of our relatives, our aunts. She told me that my Aunt Virginia, that she's doing really well. The sweetest, friendliest, outgoing, bubbly, doing really great. They had a really nice conversation. That apparently her husband, Steve, is not doing well health-wise. Basically, he is not going to live much longer. He's like in the 80s now. He's old. And we just chit-chat about our relatives. And then, of course, I had to ask the question. Because, of course, she had a photo of my cousin and my registered sex offender, pedophile, child molester, committing incest to both of his flesh and blood sons, raping his wife, arrested 64 times, including failing to register as a sex offender, my Uncle Sam. And so of course I didn't say that to her. I just basically said, oh, so how was Uncle Sam? And the disturbing thing is this. Now, remember what I just said 2 seconds ago. My registered sex offender, child molester, pedophile, rapist, 64-time registered, or 64-time arrest. You know, he is what he is. I'm not being mean and angry. He is a convicted felon. He did commit and raped both of his sons for years. Telling his flesh and blood son each time he was going to rape them, we're making love because the love of Jehovah. You sick son of a bitch! But anyway, my Uncle Sam is what he is. So again, when I ask about how my Uncle Sam was doing, and I'm telling you exactly, quote by quote, what my cousin said. Now, before I tell you the reveal about my Uncle Sam, over the years, when they would have family reunions, which they do really good at, there'd be a big, huge Dallas Cowboy playoffs or something. They were all there. We're all having the greatest time. We're all bringing alcohol's flowing, vodka, beer. We're enjoying it. We're screaming. We're shouting. We're all having the greatest time. Everything is great. But interestingly, and I'm going to say this really slow, I'm not exaggerating about this, that when they were having their reunion, and I'm sure they had a big, huge, we call a potluck. They probably barbecued, grilled. I'm sure they brought eggs, not eggs Benedict, deviled eggs, you name it, fried potato, which we call french fries and dip and vodka, again, beer. And we're all hanging out. My cousin told me that there was a group over here on the left where all the grown-ups are at. Basically where my dad's at, my Aunt Terry, my Aunt Frances, my Aunt Lorena, no matter if you're a Jehovah's Witness or not, here's all the grown-ups. And then way over here is where all the grandkids are all kind of hanging out. Grandkids over here, grown-ups all over here, kind of mingling. And I might be overreacting. I don't care. But it's so shocking that while they're all having this family reunion and they're having their potluck, my Uncle Sam, you think he's sitting way over here hanging out with his grown-up siblings, his brothers, hanging out with his oldest brother, Victor? That's my dad. But my Uncle Sam hanging out with his siblings, or maybe even hanging out with his mother. She's almost 90 years old. No, he didn't. He was sitting there while they're having their little potluck way over here, hanging out with all the grandchildren. And I was like, what? Was he socialing with? My cousin told me, no, he basically just sat there, not talking, but hanging out, sitting right next to all his, I guess we'll call it grandkids. Of course, you know, his two sons, Spencer and Sterling, have nothing to do with him. Remember, he raped them children. He committed incest in the name of Jehovah. So it's just disturbing. And I'm sure, hopefully, my Uncle Sam's doing good. I'm not giving bad thoughts about him. But, you know, when you do things in the past, especially when you're going to be, when you committed incest and raped your own flesh and blood sons in the name of Jehovah, you did it for years, you raped his wife. I guarantee that's not the only person he raped. And like I said, I don't know the whole story about my uncle. I do know that to become a convicted felon, that you have to go to jail. So there had to have been a time, no matter how many years it's been, there had to have been a time that my Uncle Sam had been arrested and charged and convicted as a convicted felon raping. So it's just so disturbing. Him sitting there, you know, what is he thinking? When he's sitting there all by himself with all the grandkids, of course, all the chit-chatting, hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And grown-ups were over here. And my Uncle Sam, from what my cousin told me, he just sat there, speechless. I'm sure he sat there listening to conversation with all his grandkids. Not his grandkids, his niece and nephews. I guess we'll call it that. I almost wish I could talk to my brother. I texted him a couple times. I gave him my peace of mind. He didn't respond to me, but I wish I could go talk to Beaner and say, what the hell is going on? Is it true that Uncle Sam was kind of by himself hanging with the grandkids or the children, and not hanging out with the grown-ups, or at least hanging out with our dad? It just makes me, it grosses me out knowing he, as a sex offender, a child molester, registered sex offender, knowing he raped children in the past, he could be sitting there just thinking bad thoughts about child abuse. Again, I might be overreacting. I don't know. It's just, it bothers me. So I just wanted to let you know what part 4 is, what's going on with my relatives. But anyway, of course, I'm moving on. It's all over and done. My cousin told me that right after that family reunion was over, that was it. She flew back, went back to Florida. She did her thing, and that's it. Yes, I'm still gonna have probably a vendetta. I'm gonna be bitter. I don't want nothing to do with them anymore. I cut them out of my life, like I cut my relatives on my mom's side of the family. I cut them already. But it's just disturbing, just knowing this child molester, pedophile, registered sex offender hanging out with the children instead of hanging out with the grown-ups. Okay, hope you enjoyed this video, and please, if I'm rambling too much, just stop, listen to part 4 again. Okay, have a good day.